That would be a good idea. Anyways, we're gonna stop talking about our future plans and instead talk to you guys about a movie. Duncan, roll intro.
Welcome to the Fellowship of the Films podcast, a podcast where we discuss movies, TV, and other things. I changed that intro because this is in an alternate universe, you see.
Oh, tricky.
This isn't the same Fellowship of the Films that you're familiar with.
No.
This is the Fellowship of the Movies.
Yeah.
The... I can't...
Illuminati.
The Illuminati of movies. This is just dumb.
Anyways.
So we're discussing...
Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, we have a little performance there. Ryan's currently taking up acting. He'll be in the third Doctor Strange movie.
Yep. I will be Doctor Strange.
My name's Duncan, and with me
I am the Ryan.
The Rock Johnson.
Yeah, it's different from Ryan. I'm the Ryan.
The Ryan.
Yeah.
It's DC's trend.
Yeah.
The Batman, the Suicide Squad, the Ryan.
Yes, exactly.
You know, it's like a better version of you. Let's dive right into this. We're gonna just go over this movie's full of spoilers, so just
we're just gonna
haven't seen this movie. Go watch it.
It
does have spoilers.
Spoiler-free thoughts. Pretty good.
I enjoyed this a lot. For me, it's over pretty good. It's like a really good.
All right.
So we're just gonna jump.
Move
right
on
into
to spoiler territories now.
Ryan, let's get your... You know what? How are we going to do this? Let's get your overall thoughts, and then we'll start saying our favorite things and our
delving in.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Overall thoughts.
Overall thoughts. Yeah, I still need to go... I gotta go watch those original Spider-Man. Apparently they're pretty good, you know? Or something, like Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Apparently they're pretty good.
That has nothing to do with this movie,
but anyway,
except for that it
director
was directed
is Sam Raimi.
by Sam Raimi.
But honestly, I like... overall, there's a couple... I thought there's a couple moments which we'll talk about later, which felt a little bit like they felt a little bit off, and some plot, like some of the plot with the story and kind of stuff, just seemed a little. It wasn't my favorite. I thought there was other ways they could have taken it, but overall, like in between the universe expansion and it was good. There was a lot of good stuff in the movie, and I definitely think it's worth a watch. That's kind of where I'm at. I may not go rewatch it in theaters, but I definitely rewatch it in the future.
Fair enough. I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
I knew this one was going to be divided. As soon as I started watching it, I hadn't heard anything about the movie. I try to stay away from that stuff before going into it. Mm-hmm. But as soon as I started watching the movie, as soon as we got a decent amount in, I knew this is going to be another one of those movies that a lot of people are going to like, but there's going to be a lot of people I'm going to need to stick up for this movie around. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'll have to stick up for it around you, but I think I'm going to have a lot more positives.
You're going to be a little more positive.
There's a lot of things that I'm going to accept a little more because I like the movie a little more. Mm-hmm. I just found it to be a really unique Marvel movie. It was not cookie cutter Marvel.
Oh, it
was not boring. I was not bored at any point. It has, for good or for bad, it has a swift pace to it.
It moves. They hustle the entire time.
I really enjoyed it. It's one of those movies that part of the reason I enjoyed it is just because it'll be lovely upon the rewatch. There's certain movies that you're like, this is going to be long to rewatch, or I don't know if I feel like rewatching this, but this one I'm really going to enjoy the rewatch.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed.
Well, I do think there's a lot of stuff definitely since you're moving so fast. There's probably a lot of stuff that most people would miss.
You don't catch the first time.
And even if it's just small things, it would add to the overall experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's go with positives first.
All right, start on the good side.
Yeah, let's start on the good side. What are your positives? What are the things
that
stuck out to you?
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I thought it looked overall the movie looked pretty good. Yeah. You know, yeah. I'll say some things recently may not have looked the best out of Marvel, but overall this movie looked pretty good. I'll give it that for the amount of effects and stuff. It looked pretty good. You know, nothing's perfect, but it was pretty good standard. I'll say that. I like the pacing was fast. The story was a little bit weird, but the pace I kind of like faster paced movies still. You know. Mm-hmm. That's different in a lot of what the other a lot of the especially Phase 2 and 3 Marvel movies have a similar. Some of them do have even if they're different plot-wise and different other stuff, they have a similar pacing and other, wise, different vibe. I can't think of a better way to describe that, basically. And where this is definitely different. It definitely breaks away from, if people who would criticize the cookie cutter Marvel stuff, it's different than that. Yeah. I actually didn't really mind the first Doctor Strange movie, and I think this, expands upon it, honestly, in a pretty good way. Doctor Strange, like, his character development's not my favorite, but overall, the action was pretty good, and cameos were cool too.
Yes. Okay, I have a lot to hit on when it comes to good stuff, because I really, really enjoyed this film. Mm-hmm. First thing I wanted to note was people hear a lot on here that I go on about the cookie cutter Marvel complaint a lot.
Yes, we have the trademark cookie cutter Marvel fan over here.
Well, no, this likes them doing that. Yes. And I think I said that a lot about Eternals. I was like, I liked Eternals because it wasn't typical Marvel.
That was definitely...
This is for a different reason. So this isn't because it's not just typical Marvel, but it's taken something that easily could have been typical Marvel.
Yeah, this could have easily been Doctor Strange Part 2, basically.
Yeah, and they really made something different out of it. A couple things. It felt really, really different from the first Doctor Strange.
Yep.
As well as it felt like less of an exclusively a Doctor Strange movie. It felt like
there was a lot of other key players.
I liked that it was named Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because it sounds like you're following this character into this broader story instead, and you're simply watching it from his perspective instead of calling it Doctor Strange 2. This is not Doctor Strange 2. It's Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. I liked the pacing. It was fast, but it kept it going at a pace that I think if you slow down with a movie like this, you're gonna start questioning. Because whenever you touch a complicated topic like the multiverse, you slow down the movie, and people are gonna start questioning, how does that actually work? And there's always gonna be some holes that people will find. So you keep it going. Nobody has time to really think that hard about how plausible this is, and you just keep it going. The things that stuck out as my absolute favorite, the style of filming, like what's that called? Cinematography.
Yep.
Loved that. Like the way Sam Raimi, the way he would zoom in on certain shots of faces.
There were some weird horror elements kind of in here too. I have to say,
not the horror. Like I'm getting to the horror, but just in general the filming. Like there would be a surprise, and it would do kind of gave a corny vibe, but it would
that's his style.
Zoom in on a character's face. Like what? I love that.
That's his style. Yeah, that's a Sam Raimi thing.
I love all the crooked shots that start turning or stuff like that. I liked it a lot. The horror elements, as you're saying, weren't.
They weren't scary, but they were meant to be intimidating more. I feel
they were really entertaining though.
They were entertaining,
and there was other things. There was certain campy. It had a campy kind of corny style to it, but it was never a bad thing.
It was never. What's the right word? It still took it. It was still serious enough that you could say the movie was serious.
Yeah, but it didn't even. For me, the campiness of it made it more endearing. It made it more unique, and I enjoyed it more. Whereas sometimes if you throw a campy style on something, cough cough Morbius, it'll hinder it a little more. So I really like that style of it. The thing that stuck out to me, and we're going to jump right to the end of the movie with this reference, but when he put himself into his dead self's body.
Yes.
The entirety of how that was done, just how, as soon as he said what he was going to do, I'm like, oh, this is going to be silly. And just the way they did it, the way they stuck the hand out of the bricks, and then he crawls up, and he's, wandering around places like a zombie. It was really corny. I was chuckling through that entire scene. I'm like, this is hilarious. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it. Because there's a lot of movies that would do something like that. I'm like, this is just stupid.
No,
I love that. I love that. That was one of my favorite scenes of the movie, to be honest with you.
That actually makes... And I like that plot element for a different reason, right?
Okay.
Because they set that whole this guy's dead. We're just gonna they played it off as a joke. They're just hiding him there, right? and then they actually go back on that, right? Yeah. And I like that, like, interest in, like, in movie referencing itself, basically. Mm-hmm. I like that kind of stuff because
ties it together.
It adds a little bit more to that, like, first bit, basically, and it makes it feel less pointless, almost. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It makes it feel like more important to the movie.
Mm-hmm. For sure. There was times when. Give me a second to think if there's anything else good, because I just thought of a thing I didn't like as much, but I want to think, is there anything else good we have to say about this first?
We can always come back to it, but I feel like
we bounce around. Our conversations are very unorganized.
We covered the good.
I have one issue.
What's your issues?
2 issues. The plot I was fine with. Mm-hmm. Dialogue was campy at times, but I was okay with it.
It was acceptable
because the whole movie had that vibe at times. Yeah. Things I didn't like. The underuse of America Chavez or whatever her name is.
Yeah, she didn't have a plot.
Her plot
she
was
had no character development.
The exclusive thing of her was the fact that she could travel between multiverses. She was a
power. She was basically a power.
Which I wasn't a big fan of. Mm-hmm. Because there's many aspects of that character that they could have expanded upon.
Oh yeah, they could have made her own. They could have really. They kind of tried to set something up with the. You know, looking into her backstory or whatever, and then they just did not do anything with that.
Also, that was really weird. There was just
felt like that whole
what multiverse is just America. It's just like there's stars everywhere. Did you see that? Like in her world, there's just stars everywhere. I'm just like, that's fine. There was one world that was paint, so I'll give it that. But she just, I don't know. I thought there could have been a lot more with her. There was already a lot going on. Mm-hmm. But how do I say it? I feel like they could have done this story and given Doctor Strange a way to move between multiverses so that they didn't have to bring in this new character just for that.
Yeah, they kind of just... I will give you that. They could have had... There was a bunch of different ways. They could have had, like... You know, they could have accidentally made a rift or something as a... Like, there could have been a consequence. They could even... Another idea is they could have had a consequence to the end of No Way Home spell, right?
Yeah.
And that consequence could have been, like, it could have been just a lingering presence, and that could have, like, some event in the movie or whatever, even if you want to include Wanda as your villain still, basically, right? If you want to include that, some event or whatever that she causes could, you know, bring back, could open that rift and open up the multiverse, you know?
I sort of follow, but my point is, no matter what the specific plot would be, if they were going to bring her in, I feel like she should have had more to do, more of a character arc than... Her character arc was essentially Doctor Strange at the end going, you can control your powers, and her being like, I can control my powers, and then...
That's it. That's literally the whole thing.
And that was really easy after that for her. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah. And she's just chilling she could go anywhere, but she's just chilling. Like, yeah, I'll just learn how to do this. I could teleport between worlds, but... I could triple for multiverses, but I need to get to other places, you know, so...
Yeah, I don't know. The other thing was the Scarlet Witch. I love that they called her the Scarlet Witch really forwardly in this movie.
Yeah, that was...
She's been called Wanda for most of the time.
Yeah.
Up until the end of WandaVision.
Yep.
So, I think, like... How do I put it? At times, she was a really good villain. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed her as a villain. I've always wanted to see the character become a villain. I want to see her arc. Like, I want to see her turn things around. But I really want to see her go full villain. I really enjoyed that. That being said, because she's been a nice character for so long, I needed to be sold just a little bit more on her being a villain. Like it
just kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere, honestly.
A little bit. Like, it felt like it was a really quick change. I felt like they threw the credit scene in at the end of the WandaVision show, and we're like, oh, she's been feeling a little bit evil, but I wanted to see her descent. Mm-hmm. I didn't just want to see she's just suddenly completely different.
Yeah.
Once I adjusted past that and was like, oh, okay, she's a bad guy. Her intentions still seemed a little bit unjustified. Like, I was like, huh? That being said, I really enjoyed her as a villain. There's just some of those logistical things that I was like,
Well, something to add on to that. I was talking to one of my coworkers about this movie, right? Mm-hmm. And he made a good point. So even if let's say she wins and is able to basically permanently supplant herself in another multiverse with her kids, and nothing changes the same, right? Right. That's what her goal was in this entire movie, right? And that's what her entire goal was. Well, still, she's going to have to live with the fact that these aren't her kids, right?
Right. Well, and wasn't that brought up?
That was brought up, but she just kind of ignored. Something happened, and they just kind of ignored that point, right? But she was going to have to live with that. Well, if she's okay with living with that anyways, she has so much power. Why doesn't she just, chill in her own multiverse, or 616, and just make her kids as an illusion?
Isn't that not real?
No. Yeah, but they're still not real. You literally killed someone. You killed another version of yourself and supplanted yourself. That's worse, honestly, I think.
This is one of those movies, I think, that you think about too much and starts to fall away a little. Someone said this. They were like, "Where's Vision in all of these?"
Yeah, where is
are these Vision's kids? If so, how did that work?
Well, I don't even care how it works. I don't even give a shit about that.
Where is
but why?
Because in all of the multiverses, it looks like she's a single mom.
Yeah.
So where did these kids come from?
Because
in her world, she completely created them out of nothing.
Yes.
So why do they look the same in every other universe? Like certain little things like that.
I mean, you could. The only thing I have about that is you see the things in your dreams or whatever.
Right.
So she could see these kids.
So that's how.
They came from.
I like that. You've answered one question for me. The whole Wanda thing, I liked it. I think it could have been executed a little better if we had a movie in between.
There should have been, or at least another appearance in between that, showed something.
Even if it was, not WandaVision Season 2, but I needed to see, an hour of her descent into madness before her just madness.
Well, yeah, because she was just crazy. She was crazy from the get-go at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
The thing is, I needed the same thing.
That being said, as the movie's pace got going and everything, she played a really good villain, and I was sold. Once I got used to it, I was like, okay, and it was better. But that would be my criticism.
See, I still can't get behind her motivation, personally. But I don't mind her as a villain in this movie. I just would have liked to see more others. If there was, so you were saying, at least an hour or something, of something, basically, right? Showing to her descent down of how she got from, because if, that whole, I know they teased it at the end of WandaVision where she had the Darkhold or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But that just kind of felt out of, it doesn't really make sense. I was actually, I can see it, but it's not my favorite plot point, basically, right?
I'm gonna mention something.
Yeah.
The thing is, at the end of WandaVision, it was such a tragic story.
Mm-hmm.
You really felt bad for her. Mm-hmm. And it just so quickly goes from, the scene that I remember that was really powerful from WandaVision is, I think she, went and, fell down on her knees in the place where her house was supposed to be.
Yeah, that place.
Do you remember that? That was a powerful scene. And so, in this, she just kind of went to evil. So you go from feeling bad for her to her being evil. Yeah. I wanted, we're saying, I want to see more in between that. I want to see you feel bad for her, but then her slowly make more and more decisions that you go at a slower pace. You go from feeling bad for her to okay, and then she's evil. Whereas we just got kind of an immediate change. So I feel like WandaVision doesn't lead into this as well as I'd like it to.
Yeah, it doesn't. The where I was basically just going is, I don't know, the marketing on this movie, the trailer is completely they take that one scene completely out of context, right? Comparatively, if you would have the one scene in the trailer where she's talking to Doctor Strange, right? Mm-hmm. I actually would have I would have liked that actually to be real. The scene where she's in her orchard or whatever, and she's talking about Westview and all that stuff, basically, right?
Yeah.
But I would have liked that to that's where I thought we would have been, and I feel like that could have been better. Just because she learned from her mistakes in Westview.
If that was real, and that's how she discovered America Chavez. And then, as she spends more time with that character, she could realize she could use her.
Yeah, that would even be better. That
but
would
just the way they were like, oh, she knows she exists. She's the one who's after.
She's
we
been.
didn't know that.
It feels like we were missing a whole movie off screen, basically, right?
There's a lot going. Yeah, this is just how it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I've criticized it more than I'd like to, and I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression. I really enjoyed this movie. Mm-hmm. This sits in my top half of the MCU.
It would be top half, yeah. I'll give it. I'll give it
top half.
There's a lot of.
You do realize that means 50% of the other Marvel movies are below it. Right?
There's a lot of mess in there. You remember,
really?
Like this would be slightly. This would be slightly positive just because there was. I like Doctor Strange as a character.
Okay. So what does this sit? If you were just to name 3 random Marvel movies that this sits above that could be controversial, what would you say?
It'd be better than Black Panther.
Better than Black Panther, okay.
Be better than. I think it'd be better probably. I don't know. I'm trying to think of 2 more.
Okay, here's mine.
Yep.
Better than Black Panther, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Better than the first Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see that.
I
think there would be about the same with maybe this one having a slight edge.
And hold on, give me a second.
Well, I can only remember the good ones.
Better than Far From Home.
Far From Home? Really?
Yeah,
I'd say
because I liked Homecoming a lot. I like No Way Home. Far From Home is the weakest of the 3 Spider-Mans for me, and this easily topped it. Like, I mean, it's still close. Like,
I think this would be probably better than I liked all 3 of the Spider-Mans personally.
Okay. I like those. I'm just saying this hit harder.
Yeah, I'd say Far From Home would be better, but it would be better than like 4-2 and like all the easy ones,
I'm saying that's why I said the controversial ones. That might.
Yeah, Black Panther. Really. Like anything that's like
Ant-Man.
It may not
goes above the Ant-Man.
Both the Ant-Mans. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of meh movies. I feel like this could make top half.
Okay. What about in the recent Marvel movies? I had this conversation with somebody else, and I was like, apart from No Way Home, this is No Way Home and this are the best since Endgame, in my opinion. Because if you think about what we've had after Endgame, we had Far From Home.
This was better than Black Widow. This was better than
Shang-Chi.
I'd say Shang-Chi was up there for me, but it would be tight. I'll just say it would be tight.
For me, it was better than Shang-Chi, better than Eternals.
Better than Eternals, easily.
Better than Black Widow. And better than Far From Home, I said. And so for me, this is one of the best since.
In Phase 4, this would be probably it would end up being second, just because Shang-Chi was a little simple. But
no, you know what? I really enjoyed this film. I'm thinking, I don't want to keep going on about the horror aspects and the way it was filmed. There was just a vibe in this movie that I just really enjoyed and really felt unique.
It was a unique movie, I will say.
And we got to discuss the cameos.
Yep, that's a looming in the room. They did the thing, guys. They did the thing. We got Professor X again.
So there was little things I noticed about those cameos. The Professor X. Do you know why he had the yellow?
Because that's some shit. That was something from the comics or whatever, right?
No. That's from the '90s animated series.
Yeah, it was. I knew it was from something. I didn't know what though.
There's little things that I noticed. Like, okay, so '90s animated series. I don't think you've seen that.
No.
He has the yellow chair.
That would make so. It's from there.
But they even do a little more fan service there. When he comes around the corner, they weave it into the sound, into the score, just a little bit of the X-Men 90s theme song.
Well, I noticed some of the X-Men theme, but yeah.
What do you mean the X-Men?
Well, I noticed it was different when he entered, right?
Yes, but that theme is from the 90s cartoon.
Oh, it is? Okay.
It is. It's not from the movie or anything. That's a little bit from the 90s cartoon, and they even credit the 90s cartoon in the credits.
That would make...
I like little details.
Super like fan over here.
I like little details like that. Mwah, mwah, chef's kiss.
Mm-hmm. They did the thing.
They had Black Bolt.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's the same actor.
Yep.
As in the Inhumans show.
Yep, he is the same actor. Yep.
Which I love because
continuity.
He was a pretty not. I just like that. Like that show sucked, but he was a good Black Bolt.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you not?
And hypothetically, we could have hypothetically another thing, right? We could have that same actor, right?
That's the same with any of them.
As
they could look the same in another universe.
Yeah, because all the different versions of Doctor Strange were all Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, which also it's weird how sometimes they look the same and sometimes they
don't. They could have easily made him look like they could use a different person in the same outfit.
I mean like how the multiverse works. Like the Spider-Mans don't all look the same.
Nope.
But the Doctor Stranges do.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's just kind of something they had to just get past. So I believe it though. I can run with that.
I can be okay with that. Yeah.
Black Bolt. They had Captain Carter from What If.
That was just. I was okay with seeing that in like live action.
I liked seeing it. It was nothing special to me.
It was nothing special, but if you're
I wasn't like, oh my god.
But if you're completing out a lineup of people who are going to die in 20 minutes, that's not terrible.
Yeah, like it's not like I was like, oh, Haley Atwell or whatever her name is who plays
Peggy Carter.
Yeah. I wasn't like, oh my god, her performance. It was nothing special, but it was fun to see the character.
I thought it was a cool, like, that if they're filling out a lineup, that was a solid inclusion. That's where I'm saying.
The Captain Marvel, I was like, I don't care.
Yeah, that was like...
I cared so little about that character.
Yeah, it's definitely... This was better than Captain Marvel?
Oh yeah, this was better. That's the no-brainer. That's down there with Thor.
Yeah. Well, Thor too. Thor was actually not terrible.
Well, Thor's a little for me too.
It's better... Thor is better than Captain Marvel, but anyways, that's besides the point.
The Captain Marvel character, I just didn't care about.
Yeah.
I did recognize who she was. So that's like Captain Marvel's best friend, right?
Well, yeah, that's Marie Rambeau, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
But you know something that I've noticed has been a trend in between a lot of movies is they're trying to make Captain Marvel look really powerful. Have you noticed that?
Captain Marvel is really powerful,
but they're really trying to make a big effort of it. I've noticed, right? Because like they in Endgame, right? Mm-hmm. She was trying to, like, there was that scene where she was trying to solo Thanos, basically, right? Mm-hmm. And then in What If, there was another thing, like, when Ultron won, like, the biggest resistance to him was basically Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
In the entire episode, right? Like, I've seen that and then this movie, in Doctor Strange, like, she was one of the last, if not, like, I don't remember the exact order they all died in, because they all died so quick. Yeah. But,
to me, it's just a boring character to me right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's what a lot of people would, and trust me, I like Superman, and I think it's like Marvel's Superman. It's just a brute force with powers.
But this one doesn't even have a weakness that you can play around.
Yeah, so...
You just have to beat it.
And plus, once Zack Snyder got a hold of Superman, he created so many depths to the character, whereas they just haven't...
Okay, shut up,
They
DC.
haven't done
DC
that.
fan, chill out. This is a Marvel review.
What I'm saying, though...
Get out of here!
They haven't done that with Captain Marvel.
No, they have not.
Now, the best one.
We got John Krasinski as... Fantastic Four Man.
Mr. Fantastic. Reed Richards.
Yeah, Reed Richards.
Fantastic. Yeah. Jesus.
I knew it was Reed Richards. I forgot his actual name. Fan casted for years.
Yeah, the internet got really happy. I just imagined Twitter blowing up.
Yeah, just like...
I really enjoyed that. I could see him, like, I needed to see it for myself, but he could be a decent Mr. Fantastic.
Oh, I could see it, yeah. Like, it just obviously, I feel like you'd have to do a little bit different context than it is right now.
Oh, yeah,
because this feels like...
But just the way he acted, I was like, oh, that's how Mr. Fantastic would...
Exactly.
Mr. Fantastic's always, like that. Like, I just like to put...
He's
the decent guy who's, like, trying to talk things out before...
He was almost kind of like the face of that group kind of thing in a way.
Mm-hmm. And then they killed them all off.
Yeah, they just did that, and I was like, oh yeah. Well, as soon as one of them, as soon as they killed Black Bolt, I'm like, oh, I know what you're doing.
Yeah,
now.
They're gonna kill.
They're all dead now.
But
because I'm like,
I was thoroughly surprised. Like, you know what? I was thoroughly surprised how far they pushed some of the gore in this movie.
Oh, like the first thing that jumped out at me was when they were fighting the eye demon thing, right? Yeah. And they ripped its eye out, right?
Well, that didn't jump out to me at all.
Well, did you see the blood on that thing?
There was.
There was for
blood,
Marvel. That was pretty bloody.
When it's not human, I think it's like a little bit more
acceptable. Yeah,
acceptable.
But still, like if coming off of the fact that they accidentally, removed some of the gore from Falcon and Winter Soldier, for Disney to approve that, I was like, really? Okay.
The other things were like, I just like that they pushed that farther. Like when Black Bolt died.
Oh yeah,
I did not see that coming. Like when they cover up his mouth, I was like, oh, that's a little creepy. And then when he goes to speak and
it blows his head off, I'm like, oh. Okay,
and then when
Marvel.
she ripped apart Mr. Fantastic, like
I was like...
It was really brutal. And by that, I think that was the turning point for me when I was like, okay, she's evil now. Because she'll just kill people, no problem.
Yeah, she does not care. I mean, I can get... She's fought people before. Now, well, I mean, she did kind of murk Montage completely.
Well, but I think she also has a little bit of... It felt like when she would go to different multiverses, though, she has less regard for humanity on different Earths than her own.
Well, yeah, that's because it's not her people.
Yeah, but it was an interesting thing to add to it. Mm-hmm. That was quite the event when that happened. There was a cameo. I like the cameo. I don't know if you know who this is, but the hot dog guy who started having to hit himself and had the second credit scene.
Yeah, who was he?
He was Bruce Campbell. He was in the other movies Sam Raimi has directed.
Well, I thought that was
Evil Dead.
I was so sad that was the second credit scene. I was like, really, guys? I waited 10 minutes for this shit. I'm tired. I want to go to bed. He made an
appearance, I believe, in every Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
Oh, he's like...
He was the main character in the Evil Dead, so he's like this badass guy in the Evil Dead.
And he's just getting slapped in Doctor Strange.
Well, at least he's there. I noticed who it was, whereas most of the group I was with was like, I was like, oh my god, and they're like, who's that? I'm like,
No, I didn't know that, but yeah, that's interesting.
The first credit scene, the credit scenes were usually a credit scene is
usually
at least a highlight.
At least usually one of them's a banger.
It's a discussing.
That's what I feel like.
It's a discussion point. You're
Mr. Comic Guy. Who the hell was that girl that he went with at the end in the first credit scene?
Okay, so I had to do some research on that one because I didn't know. When I did some
deep cut, then all right.
Well, sort of a deep cut. When I was doing research and they would show like comic panels she's been in and stuff, she doesn't have a huge presence, but she's been there since the 70s or whatever.
Who is it?
I don't know what her name is.
That's why I have your encyclopedia.
Like, she ends up being the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Realm or something, and I think she ends up being the lover of Doctor Strange at times. So that'll be interesting because he's finally gotten over
Christine.
Yeah, I was about to call her Rachel McAdam.
It's not Rachel.
But
Ray.
That's
it's
her
not
actress.
Martha either.
That's her actress though. That's Rachel, whatever her name is.
Yeah.
It's just because I didn't know who that was. I researched it and I was like, oh, cool, but it still wasn't like, oh my god. Like,
it was just like, well,
it's not like going, oh my god, Harry Styles.
That literally gave me the same Turtles vibes. I was like, that's what I felt like watching the first Turtles post-credit scene or whatever.
No,
right?
I thought the first Turtles post-credit scene was so much better because
the first one. I was talking about the one where Harry Styles comes. I was like, two random ass characters. That. I don't know a single thing about.
Okay, so when I saw the Harry Styles one though, I loved it because I knew who the character was and I knew who Harry Styles was. Yeah, so I was like, I loved those 10 times more. These ones I was just like meh.
Yeah, they were both meh. The second one was kind of funny, but it wasn't like, you know.
A lot of people get pissed off. Okay, so
I
would do cleans. I don't know. Does our audience know I work at a theater? I work at.
They do now.
So when I would do cleans, people would come out of the theater pissed off at that. They would be like, "Why the fuck did I? Why would I stay all the way for that?"
Yeah.
They would come out pissed off, but some people liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would come up and ask me. They'd be like, "Is this worth staying for?" I'm like, "Not really."
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you.
It was like it was just you know, it wasn't anything special.
It was one that I'd like. I wouldn't watch it. I was watching it at home.
I'd like to fast forward to go see it. Like, if I was watching this movie for the first time, I'd fast forward to see it, and I'd be like, oh, that's kind of funny. But then, I wouldn't want to wait for it. But I wouldn't see it. I wouldn't skip to it a second time. You know?
No. Even if I go see it in theaters a second time or buy it, I won't stay for that.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
I won't want. Maybe I'll stay for the first one, because maybe I'll do some research about the character, and I want to
get some more context.
See kind of that.
And again. Waiting for the first one's not that long anyway. So.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. The second one was just. It was funny for the first time.
Yeah, that's it.
Overall, I think we got to wrap this up.
Yep. Overall, I'd give it It was good. I'll give it a good. It was a good movie. It was worth a watch.
Okay.
Probably good in a bit, you know, but like good.
I think my rating is an 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
I was saying 8.5, but that was kind of off the high of seeing it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then I realized what else I've I've rated 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10. I'm like, oh, it doesn't set that high compared to everything else.
Yeah.
In the Marvel universe, maybe it's an 8.5 out of 10. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to comparing it to everything I rate all the time, I'm like, you know what? It's a solid 8.
It's a solid 8. Fair.
I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a successful Marvel movie.
Yeah, it was different, and
if Marvel movies hold that kind of quality on a consistent basis,
even if they keep hitting that, and occasionally
that's good.
And occasionally, like, if they keep holding that and have a spike, like No Way Home or Infinity War Endgame or stuff like that, basically, right? Yeah. If they can hold that and have spikes, yeah, I'm good with that.
This one was surprisingly controversial.
Yeah,
it's got like a low 70 on Rotten Tomatoes. Like it's there's a lot of people who don't like it, and I'm like, I just like that it was stylistic. It wasn't just what you always get. It was something else. Mm-hmm. So that's what I liked. But we recommend you see it.
I'd recommend you go. It's worth going to see in theaters. Unlike Morbius, which is not worth seeing at all.
This one is really good for the theater, though. There was times, because it's the multiverse and everything, and they're traveling a lot, I got dizzy at some points. When they're doing the turning shots, or he's spinning, or I'm like, whoa. I got a little dizzy. I was watching on a bigger screen, but...
I wish they would have... Here's the thing. I wish they would have leaned... Like, remember that that scene in Doctor Strange, right? Just closing thoughts, where... they did have a warning for, they had a warning, I'm pretty sure, on this, right?
Yeah, we have the freaking sign at the door to cover our asses.
Yeah, I know there's a warning there, but... Yeah, in the original Doctor Strange, there's the one scene when, like, the Ancient One, like, just shows him, like, that one trippy scene, basically, right? Mm-hmm. I thought they would have had more of that kind of stuff in this, but they only had, like, the one teleport, the first multiverse scene, where they're, like, dipping, where Doctor Strange in America basically just, like, dip out.
That's the one thing I thought they traveled to more. Well, they did. They traveled to a few. I just thought there would be a little more of a variety.
I thought there would be, like, a couple more major ones, because there was 2 major multiverses and then a bunch of minor, and then, like, a couple minor ones and then a bunch of nons.
Yeah. And you know what? The other thing I think that really would have helped this movie's experience for me is rewatching the first Doctor Strange. Because, honestly, I forgot Christine existed, because we haven't seen her since 2016.
Well...
How many years is that?
We didn't see...
It's like 6 years.
In the movies, yes. Because there was that one, there was Doctor Strange episode 4, where it revisited that concept, but that's a deeper cut.
I kind of forgot about his world, though. Like, even the guy, he's talking to, like, a surgeon he worked with at the start of the movie. Mm-hmm. Do you remember
that?
I
forgot. Yeah, like,
those characters, Christine, I feel like...
We haven't seen those in so long, especially, like, remember Dude who had he was missing one of his arms? And remember in Doctor Strange... he's like, I can't do this, my hands are shaking. And then the one guy who's missing a hand was able to still, use the portally thing.
Yeah.
He was in there for a second. That's just a small character. And then he died in Commentage, so.
Huh. Well, yeah, I just think watching the first one, it also would have made, like, his whole... Because he has a little bit of a story arc with Christine. Mm-hmm. I think that it would have made that hit a little harder if you had watched the first Doctor... Like, did you rewatch?
I didn't rewatch it in preparation, but there was a phase where I just put a Marvel movie on and watch it. So I got pretty well acquainted with, like, Phase 2 and early Phase 3 stuff by just, having it in the background and probably watching it in between, like, 3 or 4 times.
I wasn't as familiar with the first one. Like, I was, but it wasn't. So I think it would have meant more if I had rewatched that. But
okay.
Overall, I really enjoyed this film. It's just fairly high for me. I think we're going to wrap this up.
Yep. We've talked for long enough. Go watch it.
Yep. Follow us on all the social media. Well, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube if you're watching this episode.
Yeah, please. Please subscribe.
And, yeah, catch us next time. Next time we find time to do an episode.
Yeah, we will upload eventually. Talk to you guys soon, eventually. Bye!